Hello and welcome to Allie in Sweatpants. My name is Allie and I am wearing sweatpants. So this is my second time filming this episode because we had some technical difficulties the first time. So if I seem a little bit scattered, that's probably why. So if you are new here, a very big warm welcome to you. I love to see new friends, and if you have been here before, welcome back. I look forward to interacting with each and every one of you every time I post. I was having a little look through my analytics the other day, and I noticed that like 43% of my viewers are not subscribed. So if you would like to subscribe, that would be fantastic. It is my dream to do a 1,000 subscriber giveaway. So if you're interested in a giveaway, that's something you would like to participate in, and you want to subscribe, go ahead. I would love for you to join the family. And two other announcements. On the 9th of February, it was my 1-year podiversary. So that's exciting. Thank you to every single one of you who has participated in this journey with me. It has been so fulfilling and so much fun. My whole goal was to make friends who enjoy the same thing that I do and just meet like-minded people, and I really feel like that has happened. So thank you all so much for just hanging out with me and talking to me about knitting. The second thing is that maybe the video looks a little bit different, and that is because on the 3rd of February I had a birthday. I turned 26. So I no longer get to be on my parents' insurance plan, which is sad and horrifying, but it's fine. So yes, I turned 26 and my parents got me a camera. My boyfriend did a ton of research and helped them pick out the best rated camera for what I want to do. And so if I'm looking over here every once in a while, it's because there's a screen, and sometimes it's just easier to talk at myself than the dark, never-ending abyss of a camera lens. So, all that to say, welcome. And this is going to be a long one because we've got projects to talk about and we have acquisitions up the wazoo. So, cozy in, get a little drink, maybe a little snack, get comfy, and let's get into it. I have my notes this time because last time I tried to film this episode, I was saying every other thing incorrectly. So I figured let's not do that again. Let's just write the notes. So we will start with finished objects. And I'm actually wearing my first finished object, and it is the Pippin sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. I will stand up. So I knit this for the Hug Me Home make-along that my friend Martina was hosting with her Patreons. I just felt like my body wanted a new sweater to hug it. So this is what I knit for that. I knitted out of veganyarn.com's worsted base in the rose quartz colorway, and then for the, it's kind of hard to see in this lighting, but for the cuffs and the bottom ribbing, I did the contrast color in the Wolf Girl colorway, mainly because I wasn't gonna have enough yarn to finish the sweater in the pink color, but also because, as you can kind of see now, in different lightings, the pink can look really pink, or it can look almost off-white. So I wanted this much more white color next to the pink to showcase that it is indeed pink. So I knit the third size and it did come out a little bit smaller than I like my garments to fit me. So what I did was I washed it and then I dried it. And when it was like 95% dry, I pulled it over the back of this big reclining chair that my parents have at their house. And that did the trick. So, however, I noticed after stretching it that it became too short, which makes sense because, you know, the width ate up some of the length. So I ripped out the ribbing and I knit the body a little bit longer, and then I did the ribbing the same, which I think you can see because I did that after washing and drying. So you can kind of see right there was like a ripple. So I was pretty proud of myself for doing that because normally I don't. Normally I think, oh, I should rip it out. I would like it to be longer. I wish it was a little bit different, and I never actually do it. So I'm very proud of myself for actually doing it. So I loved making this sweater. I love Sophie's patterns. I love the way she writes her patterns. I love the style of her patterns. I think they're fantastic for beginners and experienced knitters. She does fantastic stitch breakdowns all the way through the patterns. So it's not just the total number you should have at various steps. It's how many you should have for each sleeve, the front and the back. So, you know, if that's something that you struggle with or you're concerned about in your knitting, her patterns are fantastic. If anyone is looking for a first sweater pattern, I would recommend one of hers because they really are just written so well, in my opinion. So it's beautiful. It has a folded over neckline. It's a top-down raglan. It's in, let's see, it's in sand stitch. Let me show you. You can see here, there's a little bit of pilling in this yarn, which it's not that big of a deal. It's like a 50-50 organic cotton and bamboo blend yarn. So it's a very soft fiber. So it doesn't really bother me that much that it pills, but just a heads up, I'm finding that it is pilling a bit. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about this. Excuse me. I don't know if you could hear that weird noise my throat just made. But yeah, I very much enjoyed making this sweater. I would highly recommend it. I probably will make it again, maybe for my boyfriend, if he is lucky. So, my next finished object is another garment for myself. And it is the Bubble Cardigan by Stephen West. Cardigans are always difficult to show. Is that enough glamour shots? So I'm just referencing my notes again. I knit this in veganyarn.com's fingering base. All of this I had in stash for like over a year. Had no idea what I wanted to do with it. And so finally I was like, I'm going to use it for the bubble cardigan. I don't know. It was like I found the pattern, and then within days I decided that this was the yarn I was going to use it for, and then cast it on. It was amazing. So the orange color is Year of the Cat. The white color with the speckles is called Bronze Speckle. The green is called Pine, and the brown is Teak. I knit the first size in this pattern. It is a wide size range, but the smallest size is not very small. So just keep that in mind if you need a very small size. I don't know if this pattern, would be right for you if you don't want a lot of positive ease. But I find that the first size fits exactly how I want it to. I decided to use the teak color as my contrasting color. So I used it for the neckband and the ribbing. Stop. My boyfriend is watching me film. I don't like it. And this was my first time doing an I-cord bind off. Maybe you can see. You do it along the body ribbing and along the bottom ribbing. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I found it very therapeutic, the repetitive nature of it. And Stephen West has a fantastic tutorial on how to do it. I'm pretty sure on his YouTube, but also just following his pattern. It was very easy to understand. It also calls for you to do it on the cuffs of the sleeves, and the cuffs are actually supposed to be quite a lot longer, but I didn't really like the look of that. I felt like it made the cuff look a bit too bulky for my liking, so I just did a normal bind off, and I tried to do it fairly loosely. So the other cool thing about this cardigan that I think is really cool is you start the whole thing from an I-cord. The first step is to make an I-cord, and then you go from there. And I could not fathom how you go from there, but it is so genius, and it is not difficult, and the instructions are beautiful. The other thing I did with this cardigan was I did his weave-in Steven method, where you weave in your ends as you go. So by the time this cardigan was done with all these stripes, all I had to do was snip the ends, which was fantastic. That was my biggest worry about a cardigan like this, was all the ends I would have to weave in, but it ended up being totally fine. I love the bubble texture. It's not difficult at all. It's mostly just stockinette knitting, and I think I will definitely be making this cardigan again. I don't know if I'll make it again in stripes, and I don't know if I'll make it again in the bubbles, but I might just even make it in stockinette and use it as a go-to sweater pattern because I thought it was beautiful. I know people have talked about how genius Stephen West is, and that kind of intimidated me because they were always talking about how genius his techniques are and how innovative he is in his styling and, you know, all these things. And it made me kind of scared to try his patterns because I love just vanilla stockinette knitting so much, mindless knitting, that kind of put me off a little bit. But I highly recommend this pattern. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it, really. The way it's written, everything. It's just, it's phenomenal. So yes, my bubble cardigan by Stephen West. Okay, now we go into my gift knitting bag, which is very red. So the first thing in here that we will talk about is a snood for my sister. And both of the next things I'm going to show you are actually, I made them as part of, again, Martina's from We Grow Wild, her movie knits cowl. One of them is not knit, it is crocheted, and it's not from a movie, it's from a show, but she said that was fine. So these are both for that. So my sister, for her birthday, asked me for a snood that was inspired by the Netflix show Wednesday. And so here it is. So this is loosely based off of a free Ravelry pattern called Enid's Snood. However, it's very loosely based off of it because my mom kind of freestyled it and we didn't use the same hook size, yarn size, stitch count, stitch pattern, like nothing is the same. But here it is. It's just a lot of different variants of orange and yellows. I knit this out, or I crocheted this out of, I think it's Joann's store brand, Big Twist yarn, which is 100% acrylic in the orange sunset colorway. And I crocheted it in a 5.5 millimeter hook, I'm fairly certain. So it's just a mix of single crochets, double crochets, half double crochets, and then to make these ridges, let's see, these ridges here. To make those, you I think you double crochet through the back loop or something, which kind of makes like a little texture. So it was just all about creating a different texture to go with it. And it is seamed. I was going to crochet it in the round, but the way my mom did it was she did it flat and then seamed it. It's not the neatest by any means, but this is meant to be wrapped around twice to either be like a really thick cowl or have once around the neck and then once up over the head as a hood. So I'm not really too worried about it. Like it's gonna be, you know, wrapped and folded in things that it'll be fine. So I'm very happy to have this finished. I don't know why, but I did not enjoy working on it. The fiber was fine. You know, it's 100% acrylic, so it's not like mind-blowing by any means, but it was fine. It was fine to work with. The colors I like. I think that they're nice. The stitches weren't hard. It didn't take very long. It just, there was something about it that just did not jive with me at all. So I'm glad to have it done, and I hope that my sister enjoys it. So that is that. Just checking my notes to make sure I said everything I wanted to say. And then the next finished object that I have to talk about, again, I might use for Martina's Movie Knits cowl because it reminds me of the outfit that Satsuki wears in Totoro. And it is this. Oh, stop. It's so cute. Look, it's a little skirt with suspenders that, let me see here. How do I show this? Cross in the back. So cute. So I did talk about this in my knitting plans video. This is Nora's skirt by Petite Knit. And I made this for my friend's sweet, sweet baby. Well, I guess she's not a baby. She's like 2.5, toddler. My sweet friend's sweet toddler. Lots of sweets. But yes, she will be turning 3 in August, which is when I intend to gift this to her. And so I made the 3 to 4 year old size. And I knit this out of, let's just do a little close-up shot. I knit this out of Hobby Yarns New Arezzo, which is a cotton bamboo linen blend. It's leftovers that I had. My goal for this year with garments is to knit from my stash primarily, which my goal is to knit my garments and my big pieces primarily from stash this year, which I think I'm doing a very good job on. And next year's goal is going to be knitting through all of my sock stash because it's getting overwhelming. But anyways, I had this in stash and it's just so cute. And it is not hard. If you either want a really easy beginner-friendly children's pattern or you just want a very vanilla children's pattern, I highly recommend this pattern. The top band and the bottom band are double folded, but you don't knit them together, you sew them together at the end, so you don't even have to worry about that step if that is something you don't enjoy or aren't ready to try. And so after that, it's just stockinette. It's just stockinette in the round, and it was such a pleasure to work on. So there is elastic in the waistband, and I'm going to gift it with a larger piece of elastic just in case I didn't get the measurement correct with this one, and I left a little hole on the inside where my friend can, you know, cut and pull out the old elastic and put in new elastic if need be. And yeah, oh, I just think it's so cute. It's a bit greener in real life. It's getting kind of, let's see here. That might be a bit more accurate tonally, but yeah, it's a bit more green in real life. And I think it's just so stinking cute. Let's see, did I say everything I wanted to say? I did. I wish I could talk about it longer because it's just so cute, but yeah. Nora's skirt by Petite Knit. I highly recommend it if you want a sweet little toddler pattern. I actually bought this pattern, I think before this child was even born. I think my friend told me she was pregnant, and I went and looked for a ton of baby knits, and I saw this one, and I was like, well, I'm buying that, even though the smallest size I think is 2 to 3 years. So I've literally had to wait this whole time for her to grow up to be big enough to make this, but I hope she likes it. And if she does, I can make it in bigger sizes as she grows, and oh, so cute. So my next finished object is actually a pair of socks for myself that I don't want to show like too close. I'll show them like this maybe, because I have been wearing them and they are like pilling quite badly, which is fine because I can just de-pill them when I'm ready. But I don't want to show them up too close because that might be like gross. But I knit myself a pair of vanilla socks out of Legacy Fiber Arts Cozy Toes base, which is a merino cashmere nylon base, which I will talk about in my acquisitions because it was gifted to me by my mom for my birthday. Thank you, Mom, again. So I knit them on 2.5 millimeter needles, 56 stitches, which is my go-to stitch count for myself for 2.5 millimeter needles. And then I knit a pair for my boyfriend, and this will also, where should I put my notebook? I'll put it here for now, which will also technically be part of the acquisitions corner because I did not have this yarn last time I filmed, and so it's an acquisition, but it's these socks. Focus. And I knit these out of Barocco Comfort Sock, which is a 50% acrylic, 50% nylon sock blend, which I did not really expect to like as much as I do. It is a pleasure to work with. Other than the fact that it really doesn't have very much bounce and stretch, it looks and feels like working with merino sock wool to me. And these have come out so soft, and I think the colors are beautiful. So yeah, I mean, other than, you know, acrylic and nylon not really being very great for the environment, I have nothing bad to say about this yarn. I think it's great, and I have quite a lot of it, so I'm glad that I think it's great. So yes, socks for my boyfriend. I knit these on 2.5 millimeter needles. I did 64 stitches, which normally for him I would do 60, but because this yarn didn't have very much stretch, I decided to do 64, and he says they fit well. I did 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then I did 3x1. I did 3x1 for the rest of the sock, and then I did a slip stitch. I am so sorry. I'm having internal difficulties tonight, apparently. Probably the Chipotle I just ate. And then I did a slip stitch heel flap and gusset for him. So, ta-da! Clean socks for the boyfriend. Nice. Okay, so Mom, I'm going to need you to skip to this time. I wonder if I can actually move the time there. We'll find out in editing. But I need you to skip to the time on the screen. And that's all you need to know. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye. Okay. So, the last of my finished objects are all socks for my mom. Because as I said in my 2023 knitting plans. I would really like to gift my mom a box of socks for Christmas this year, which is 12 socks. So I have been just riding the sock mojo while I have it, because I know at some point in the year it's probably going to go away for a while. So if I just stockpile them now, I don't have to worry about getting behind. So we've got some socks to talk about. Hope that's okay with you. I love watching people talk about socks personally. So the first pair that we have to show is knit out of leftover Legacy Fiber Arts yarn that my mom gifted me for Christmas in the chocolate covered cherries colorway. I did all of the ones I'm about to show are knit on 2.5mm needles with 60 stitches. This one I did a 1x1 rib with a slip stitch detail. Here's the other one. And this one I did a normal heel flap and gusset because she told me that she really liked how that fit. So I'm doing lots of these in a heel flap and gusset. But you'll notice with this one and another one that I'm going to show you, the stitch pattern isn't necessarily the most visible. And so the biggest reason I did them was to keep myself engaged. I found that the repetitive pattern kept me engaged more than a vanilla sock did at the time of making them. So that's why I have chosen to do that, not necessarily for the effect in the finished product, although I think beautiful when you can see it up close. So this is in the Legacy Fiber Arts Cozy Toes base, which is a merino cashmere nylon blend. And I'm very happy to be able to have semi-matching socks with my mom. So I have all the finished socks stacked on this sock blocker, which is why maybe it looked a little bit bulky holding it up, but seemed like a good idea at the time. Okay, the next one I have to show is knit in Universal Yarns Bamboo Pop Sock. It is one of their new colorways. Which I think is called Serene or Serenity. Here's the second one. So this is another one where the texture isn't overly noticeable in the finished product, and that's okay. I knit the Minecraft socks, which are a free pattern on Ravelry, which again is like a 4 or 8 row repeat. So really it was just to keep me engaged in the sock knitting. But there's kind of a theme with a lot of these socks, and the theme is purple because my mom's favorite color is purple. So I'm trying to diversify, but there is quite a bit of purple. So these are the second socks I have finished for her. Dun, 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 dun. And then the next socks are also technically an acquisition. This was donated yarn that was donated to my mom's really good friend, and then my mom then shared it with me. So this is a Regia yarn. It's like, I think it was like 70% new wool, superwash new wool, and 30% nylon or something. And so this one I did a German short row heel because the pattern was keeping me very entertained, but I was kind of overdoing the drop heel and gusset. So I did a German short row heel on this one. Here's the second one. And this patterning and these colors really reminds me of a sweater that Inga from Knitting Traditions has knit a while ago, and I just really like it. I think it's really beautiful. And as you'll see in the acquisitions, I have most of one 50-gram ball, because these came in 50-gram balls, left over that I'm going to use contrasting cuffs, heels, and toes to make my boyfriend a pair of socks out of the rest of this yarn. Don't look at me like that. You already knew that. So, and then I have one more finished pair, and then we move into works in progress. So, the last finished pair that I have to show is another gifted yarn, but it was gifted for Christmas, so I think I've already talked about it. And it is this Regia tweed yarn that my cousin gave me for Christmas, which again is a wool and nylon blend. Focus, focus. There we go. So again, I did a slip stitch heel. I think I followed the Sunday socks pattern by Petite Knit for this pair of socks. And I did it on 4mm needles. I did a 3x1 ribbing, I think. And they're just a very thick wool sock. So I'm trying to kind of vary the thickness. I'm going to do some shorties. I'm going to do, you know, all that stuff. Try to make it an interesting box of socks. And I heard for thick socks, you really want pearls in the socks to help it hug you. And because I think thick socks have a tendency to become pretty slouchy. So in the thicker ones, I always do a bit of ribbing. So yeah, now we move into, I have one half finished object, and then we move into works in progress. So my half finished object, would you guess, is a sock. So I knit this out of Cascade Yarns Fixation, which you'll see in the acquisitions come in the cutest, tiniest little 50-gram balls. And I looked at it and I was like, no way. No way one ball is going to make a sock. Not possible. And it did. I had leftovers. So here it is. Hello, it's me. I was wondering if you could focus ever, please, oh please. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I knit this on 3.25mm needles, and I did 48 stitches, and I did a 2x2 broken rib because I thought I'd never done a broken rib sock before, but I love the look of broken rib. So I decided to just throw it in a sock. Why not? So this was a bit hard on my hands, and I think that's because I was sort of trying to stretch the yarn as I knit to ensure that I would have enough in one ball to make an entire sock, which I didn't need to do, unfortunately. But it's amazing. There's only like not even. There's like so little elastic. It's mostly cotton. It's like 98.3% cotton and the rest is elastic. And it is so stretchy. It's like, it's incredible. I really enjoyed working with this. So I look forward to all the other socks that I can make out of this yarn. But this is a half finished object. I don't have the second one cast on yet, but I think it will pretty much fly when I do because it's a thicker yarn on bigger needles. So on to works in progress. And I'm not going to start with the socks. I am going to start with the socks. I'm sorry because I told my mom to skip, so I really hope you don't mind that I'm just blabbing about socks. So this is another one for my mom. It's going to go in her box of socks. This is again the Barocco Comfort sock. It's beautiful. I love it. It's in their, I think it was called like English Morning or something. English Garden. I'm not sure, colorway, but it's beautiful purples. And I'm doing a 6x2 ribbing because I was tired of a 3x1 patterning after my boyfriend's socks and the slip stitch socks that I did. So I'm doing a 6x2, 64 stitches again because there's just not, let's see, can I show it? There's just really not like a ton of stretch in this yarn. So I'm doing a few more stitches than usual. Work in progress. Last sock, I promise, is this beauty, which was pretty heavily inspired by Martina. How many times can I talk about her in one episode? And it's just a vanilla red sock. It's a deeper red, than, oh dear, than is showing up on camera. I don't know how to kind of, but it's a bit deeper than it's showing up. It's showing up a bit more orange than it is, but focus here, focus here. There we go. Again, I'm doing a German short row heel because I was kind of overdoing the drop heel. I don't think this podcast is any less messy than the one before. 2.5 millimeter needles, 60 stitches. I'm knitting it in veganyarn.com's sock base, which is, well, now it's a organic. They recently changed the base to include tencel, so it's more eco-friendly now, and this is part of the old base that I have in my stash. So veganyarn.com's sock base in the Lucky colorway, which is a beautiful, it's not that orange, it's a deeper red. But yeah. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's move on, shall we? My next work in progress is another one that I had on my 2023 knitting goal video. I'm feeling pretty good about those goals. I know it's only February, but I don't know, I feel like I'm doing okay. And I am making the baby bear suit by Knitting for Olive. It doesn't really look like it right now. This is my progress so far. I'm shaping the ears currently, look. Which is very cute. I think it's going to come together like this. And this is going to be the hood. It looks huge to me. I mean, I have no idea about like children and how big they are, but I'm making the 24-month size, and I don't know, this just feels big. But anyways, I asked in a previous podcast if I should make the 12-month size or the 24-month size because my friend's child will be turning 1 when I gift this to her. And many of you suggested that I do the 24-month size so she had a chance to grow into it. And I completely agree with that. So that's what I went for. I'm knitting the 24-month size. I am using Stash yarn, which is Wool in the Gangs. Wool in the Gangs? Yep, Wool in the Gangs. Pima Cotton in the Malibu Speckle colorway, which is a pretty pure white with coral pink speckles running through it, which I think will be so sweet. She'll be like a little polar bear. It will be very, very sweet. So I don't know. There's not much to say about that. Yeah, nothing else in my notes. I'm working on it. I'm not enjoying it very much, and that's because I'm finding the gauge to be pretty tight. So it's making my hands not sore, but tired as I work on it. So I can only work on it in small bits. So I can only work on it in small bouts, which is not my style. I tend to go too hard for too long, really. But my last work in progress is another crochet project. Who am I becoming? But I was heavily inspired by Jen from the Chunky Stitches podcast, who I love watching. And she's getting into knitting now, which is super exciting to me. Of course, all of her knitting is stunning. She's just an incredible maker, and I highly recommend her podcast, though I'm sure many of you already know it. I was very inspired to crochet a blanket because she's crocheting quite a few different kinds of blankets, and it kind of gave me FOMO. I was like, oh, like, I want a blanket. So I'm crocheting a blanket. Are we impressed with the progress that I've made since my last episode where this wasn't even a whip? So I am crocheting it all out of Lion Brand's Touch of Linen yarn. Is that focused? I don't know, I can't tell. Hope that was focused, but let's see, let's look at my note. It's a mess. Episode 13, it's a cursed episode. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook, and I chained 250 stitches. So I think it will be big enough to cover our queen size bed. And I think that the goal for it ultimately is to be a couch blanket. So what I want is for it to drape over the feet and then come up to like here to be a nice like snuggle blanket. So I'm just gonna keep going, but quite a lot of progress so far, if I do say so myself. I haven't worked on it a ton recently because the sock knitting has just been kind of consuming me in a good way. I've been very much enjoying it, but I hope to get back to this soon because I would love to just have it as a blanket and not a work in progress. But look at it like folded. It's like a blanket, you know? Okay. Oh, I have one more. I have one more work in progress. I just don't have it here with me. And it is my dad's Arkansas River sweater. I am making it out of We Are Knitters, the recycled yarn, which is another yarn that I've had in the stash for a long time. And I am knitting it out of the like black colorway that they have. Looking at my notes. I am making the 3rd size. And I'm currently on the step where you have to attach the sleeves. And it's a nightmare. All the instructions say is sew in the sleeves or sew it together or something like that. But they're kind of like a saddle shoulder sleeve. It's something that I've never done before. And so I was just so confused. I should have taken a photo of the sleeve that I sewed in because it was horrific. I tried for so long to convince myself and my boyfriend and my dad that it looked good. And none of us could convince ourselves that it looked good. It was like this part here where I'd sewn it together was all gappy and the stitches looked really loose and it looked just horrible. And then right here on both sides, the front and the back, had like a pooch, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It had a pooch, which I was like, maybe washing and drying it will soften that and it'll go away. Or worst comes to worst, I'll pinch it on the inside and like whip stitch it together. Or no, Allie, this is for a loved one. Do it right. And so my mom has actually seamed every single one of my seamed sweaters for me. And I think she's fantastic at it. She does not give herself enough credit. And so I very humbly came to her one day and said, Mom, no pressure, no hard feelings. Is sewing in these sleeves something you would be willing to try to tackle for me? And she graciously said yes, she would. So She is sewn in the first sleeve and she's working on sewing in the second sleeve, and it looks perfect. Again, she doesn't give herself enough credit. It looks perfect. It's hilarious what mine looked like compared to hers. I can't believe I didn't take a photo, but I'm so, so, so grateful that she is doing that for me. So that's where we're at with that sweater. But after she's done sewing in the sleeve, I just have to pick up stitches and knit the collar, and then we're good to go. My dad gets his sweater, and now it's even more special because it has my love put into it, and it also has my mom's love put into it for him. So he's a very lucky guy, that dad of mine. Dad. But now we will be moving into acquisitions. So we have a lot. I'll preface that now. We have a lot. It's from my birthday. It's from January. It's from me going a little bit crazy and buying too much. So it's almost all sock yarn. We will start with birthday, and then we'll go into the rest of it. So the first thing I want to show is not yarn, but it is yarn related, and it is something that my boyfriend's mom made for me for my birthday, and it is a mug. On one side it says completely hooked, which I think is so cute, and on the other side it says there is no such thing as too much yarn, with my name on it. So I thought that was just so cute and so funny and so nice and so thoughtful, and there truly is no such thing as too much yarn, so it's pretty perfect. So now we'll go into some of the yarn. There's a lot. We'll start with these. So I already mentioned this one. It is, I'm going to preface this. A lot of this is wool. A lot of what I'm going to show you right now is wool. And I do not buy animal fibers for myself. There's a few different reasons, but I just don't buy animal fibers for myself. And so when they are gifted to me, I feel very, very grateful and very special and very thankful for them. And I don't know if it's silly, but I always try to say like a little thank you to the animal while I'm knitting with it, and I wish it well, and I hope that it had a nice and gentle and happy and loving life, and I just try to be very grateful for the animal who provided me this beautiful, beautiful yarn. So a lot of this is wool, which I typically don't own, so it's exciting. So this is by Legacy Fiber Arts. It is in the Sweet Shops colorway. And I was too impatient to wait for this podcast, so I caked everything up, but I do have photos of everything in their hank that I will attach. So I have this one, which is the Legacy Fiber Arts Cozy Toes base, which is the merino cashmere nylon. Stunning. I have this one from Legacy Fiber Arts, which is also the merino cashmere nylon base in Octopus's Garden. So beautiful. So, so, so beautiful. It's like peaches and blues, and I am very excited to knit all of these up. I cannot wait. And then this one was actually another donated yarn that my mom's friend gave her, and I loved it so much when my mom showed it to me that she ended up giving it to me. But it is from Ridiculous Hand-Dyed Yarn in the Addie Socks, which is a superwash merino nylon 75-25 blend in the Carnival Chaos colorway. And it is, wow. It's truly just like every color in a yarn. And I mean, it has reds, blues, greens, yellows, purples, browns. It's so, so beautiful. And so again, I can't wait to work with that yarn. There's more. Like I said, we have a lot of acquisitions today. So I was also gifted this skein, which is Legacy Fiber Arts again. It is their steel toes base, which is their merino nylon blend in the Sweater Weather colorway. It's a bit less yellow in real life, but this looks very different than it did online. Online it looked like deep oranges and browns, and this has a bit more purple. I still love it, and I still can't wait to use it, but it does definitely look different than it did online. Sweater weather. And then we have from their, it's still steel toes, but this is their micro sock set. So instead of 100 gram, get it together. Instead of 100-gram hank of yarn, you get 50 grams and a 20-gram mini. And this is Jumping Mouse Circus. Which is so, so, so beautiful to me. And this is from their Coraline Jones range, which is even more special because Coraline has been my favorite book since 6th grade. It's been my favorite movie since the movie was released. I saw it in theaters like 5 times. And so being able to support Sue and Chelsea, who I've already talked about and fangirled over more than enough, is already super special to me. But getting to also have colorways based on my favorite book and movie is even better. So the pink is the contrasting color for the Cotton Candy, if you've seen the movie. So Jumping Mouse Circus. This might be my next pair I cast on for myself. Either that or the one I'm about to show. I can't decide. But my last woolly birthday yarn is this, which is Coraline Jones. This is a bit more like army green, sage green in real life. It's kind of getting a little bit beiged out, but yes, this is Coraline Jones, Legacy Fiber Arts in their micro sock set. And I also really love this. So, spoiled, 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 spoiled. I can't say it enough. And then on my actual birthday, my mom and I went to check out my new local yarn shop since moving, which I hadn't been to before. And I think the owner is originally from Denmark, and practically all of the yarns in there were European brands. And so I finally got to like touch and feel and see all these things that I've seen podcasters talk about, but I've never had access to before. So that was cool. I touched my first mohair. That was fun. But I saw these and I could not resist. They're cotton, 50% cotton, 45% polyamide, 5% polyester, self-striping sock yarns. And I think they're so fun. They're from the brand online, Super Sock Cotton Plus. Also, isn't that so fun? Now I can show you labels without it being backwards. So I got this beautiful kind of neutral mauve-y. Come on. And then I got this beautiful fall. Come on. You can, there we go. So my mom gifted these on my birthday for me above and beyond. So I ordered some sock yarn back in, I think, January from an online store that I've ordered from before called Five Wise Owls on Etsy. And I had seen before that she had offered a self-striping upgrade option on her Etsy shop. And I'd been curious about it, but I'd never gotten any. And so I asked if she was still doing it because I didn't see the listing on her website anymore. And she said for pre-existing customers, she was still offering it. So I asked for the 2 colors that I would like, and they came today. So they're a bit deeper and darker in real life. This one is called Ichabod Crane self-striping, and this one is Summer Sunset self-striping. They look very similar, but they are different. And I'm super excited. I've never had self-striping hand-dyed yarn before, so I'm really excited to see how these 2 work out. Okay. Oh God. I almost fell out of my chair. So now we're on to the bulk of the acquisitions. So strap in. This was another donated yarn that my mom gave to me. It is the Bernat Socks, which is 60% acrylic and 40% nylon. And it is in a pink and green striping colorway. And this is not like the nicest sock yarn I've ever felt in my life. It kind of feels a little bit like craft yarn, but I got this because I wanted to make my friend's daughter's little matching ruffle socks. And I thought that a 100% synthetic sock yarn would be super easy to take care of. And it's just in like super cute little colors. So that's my plan with that. Where am I even going to put all of these when I unpack them? Okay. Next is more donated yarn. It is Red Heart, Heart and Soul with Aloe sock yarn, which is 70% superwash wool, 30% nylon. This beautiful colorway. I'm very excited to make socks out of these. They will probably be for myself because I love red. So more free yarn. And then the last donated yarn I've talked about, it is the Regia yarn that I made my mom's socks out of. And it is 41% superwash new wool, 34% cotton, 25% polyamide. And so like I said, I'm going to get a contrasting color to do the cuffs, heels, and toes and probably make these for my boyfriend. So yeah, amazing, very exciting. Okie dokie. Yeah. So now we go into my giant, crazy, lost my mind order of sock yarn, and lots of it, most of it, is Barocco Comfort Sock. I got 2 balls of this color. Please focus. Please focus. Thank you. Which again is a little bit less yellow in real life. It's definitely more like sweet potato orange and dark reds. So, in the color, excuse me, note to self, no Chipotle before filming. In the 1812 colorway, that's the dye lot number, or that's the colorway number. And then I got 2 of this color as well, which is 1810. And it may look familiar because this is the color I knit my boyfriend's socks out of. So I gave the rest of the ball to my mom because I just enjoyed working with it so much that I wanted her to be able to use it as well. And so I just told her, do contrasting cuffs, heels, and toes, and you should be totally fine. So I have one more ball, which definitely I will be making a pair for myself. And then I got one ball each of these neutrals. One is like a sandy tan and one is a silver gray. The tan is 1771 and the gray is 1770. It's always just good to have plain colors. I'm not a big fan of this tan for socks, but it's good for contrasting cuffs, heels, and toes. So I thought it was going to be a bit of a different color in real life. The pictures were a bit different than what came, but I'm happy with it all anyway. So I got one of each of these. That's annoying. And then I got one of this color, which is 1817. Why do I feel like I already said that number, but... Which reminds me of like mountains with rivers. It's just very... Yeah, I don't know. That's what this colorway screams to me. It's like mountains with a river. It's very beautiful. Got one of those. Got one of these, which I love. This is 1816. Which I think is so pretty. It's all the fall colors. All the fall colors in this one. It's beautiful. And then I got, let's see here, 1811. Beautiful. And then I got, this might be my least favorite, 1813. Focus, you can do it. Very curious to see how this one knits up. And then my last comfort sock, but not least, I think this one is so pretty, is 1814. Beautiful. I bought almost all of the self-striping / self-patterning colorways that were available on webs. So the last is the, excuse me, had to reposition, Cascade Fixation yarn. And so I got one more ball of the Dusty Plum for my mom. And then I got two of the I think it was called like fern green for my boyfriend, but aren't they so cute? They're literally like the size of an egg, like a giant egg. And would you ever believe that that would make a whole sock? I didn't think so, but is that focused? No. There we go. For my boyfriend, because he loves green. And then I got some really fun ones. So I got two in this colorway. Super fun. And I got two in this colorway. And I got two in this colorway, which this one I think is my favorite. I think those colorways are so pretty. But let me see if I can show you. Look at how stretchy. Let's see. Is that coming across on camera? Because it is so stretchy in real life. But that is all, my friends. I'm sorry if this was messy. I did refilm this in the hopes of making it less messy, because the first time I filmed it, my camera cut off every 5 minutes because it was my first time using it. We had to get some things adjusted, and my boyfriend very graciously did that for me last night. So thank you. And my microphone I had clipped kind of precariously, so I think it was rubbing against my body when I would do different positions. So I'm really hoping I'm really hoping that did not happen this time. But it feels like it came out to be a bit of a messy one, so I do apologize, but that is what it is, you know, what you gonna do? So, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for 1 year here making videos, talking to you guys, interacting. It always makes me so, so happy. I never say this, but I do have a knitting Instagram. It's the same. It's Allie in Sweatpants. If you would like to come and be my friend on Instagram, that would be great. I also have a Ravelry, which is Knit in Sweatpants. All of these things are always linked below, as well as all the patterns that I mentioned. I also link that below. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to talk about. I hope that this video finds you well. I hope that the new year is treating you well. I hope that you are treating yourself well. And I hope that you found a little bit of inspiration or a little bit of humor, or you just enjoyed me being a crazy, burpy, scatterbrained kook for however long I've been filming. So that's all. I appreciate you being here so much, and I will be back when I have more to talk about. Bye. Oh, can you take his collar off?
Yeah.
Are you good in there, little Mike? Did it just start raining?
Sounds like it.
Or is that the wind?
Maybe the wind. Wind.
Wow, it's very windy. My throat is so dry right now. Apologies. Hey, Chris, can you hand me those 4 skeins right there? The 2 balls and then the 2 hanks. Yeah. Thank you. I forgot to bring these over here with me. Thank you. Nope, all good.